I've only started producing music in January because I just mentally told myself I couldn't do it, and I did. And it was amazing to look at drum and bass and using some. I listened to like Calibre and Break, and listened to put a lot of reggae samples in, and that were okay to use, and not one of them. And like first tune got signed to Goat Shed. I've got I don't know when this is going out, but BBC Radio 1, I've got BBC Radio London, so I've got a 100% productions mix going out, and this is like 3 months' work. And it's just kind of like identifying good samples, but it's these samples and these little bits I'm taking, like, they're not rehashed 1,000 times. It's not Bob Marley's "To the Rescue."
I know what you
heard that
mean.
a million times.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's someone that I know, I'll ask them permission. Like, do you mind if I use this little clip of you? Like, you know, it's that kind of stuff, man. It's just polite. And like you say, there's the creativity levels at the moment. Go for it.
Crazy.
Go for it. There's a DJ called AK. I think it's on this. I sent this big thing out to try and get some feedback on the tune. I think it's AK 2000, AK 2000. He's based in America. He's like the go-to drum and bass guy, and he sent me some really interesting feedback. Rather than just go, "Yeah, it sounds sick," he was like, "Do you know what? Make an 8-minute tune." I was like, "All right." He went, "Nah." He's like, genuinely, like, if you enjoy it, and to be different at the moment, either think of album tracks, or go and make an 8-minute to 12-minute tune. And have the balls to go and do it. So I tried, and it's really hard, but it's really interesting. He said if you can put together something between 8 and 12 minutes, because there's no law, like just radio predicts that says that 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Go and make a 12-minute track. See how you get on, and keep it all original, keep it all moving, and keep it different. I think that's mad.
You know what? That's interesting, because I was speaking to a mate of mine the other day, producer, holds like James Russian all day, and he was getting into the subject of conformity and what pop music is. You know, spending a lot of time in those higher echelons of managements and labels and people that want these sorts of things, and just throwing peanuts at the elephants. It's just money for fold rope in a lot of cases, and trying to embrace a new way of thinking. We were talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, which is like, I don't know, I think 7 minutes or something like that. Yep. The thought of like radio ever putting on something like that now, but actually maybe it is the case that you can do that.
Mate, BBC Radio 6 will not have a problem playing that record. And that's why I think, you look at their radar figures, like Radio 6, they're not afraid to... if I'm driving in my car, I would love to listen to... an hour of... Gene Simmons playing fucking Dark Side of the Moon. Fucking amazing. I love that. You know what I mean? But it's
the whole album,
done in full. Like no stops, nothing. But it's just I think we're just everything's a bit too rigid, and that is the one thing that I've learned probably over the last couple of months. And like I'm not talking from a I've realised this and had an epiphany. Just be random and be a bit weird, because you don't really know what will work. Like, push the boundaries. Do a 7-minute. If you've got an EP, fair enough, make 2 tracks at 3-4 minutes, but try. If you can get to 8 minutes and keep it fresh, fair. And you've got the resources now, like Ableton, Logic, and all these things, and samples, Splice. There's no reason. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier on. At the minute, there's a big reset. If you've always wanted to produce music and you did what I did and just told yourself, like, there's no point, I haven't got the time.
Can't do that. You
can. Mate, you can. You can. You genuinely can.
If you want to be, like you say, the promoter, if you think the podcaster, the DJ, this is a really inspiring conversation, because sometimes I think to myself, I ain't got time, fuck, I got to. You're in the same boat as me.
Yeah.
You are literally, we've got 35 minutes on the clock here, I ain't going to lie. I just finished doing this thing over here, and then you came at the right time, and just like crossing ships, and it's like, we just managed to make it happen within a space of time. You're constantly busy. Like, how do you partition? How do you discipline? How do you do these things? How do you make people are going to want to know? How's that happen?
It was like you do this podcast, and like even this setup here is so impressive that this studio is that people will pay for over a ton an hour to rent, and this is far more impressive. Like, you have to find that balance. Like, for me, like I have a massive problem mentally with money. It's always a problem that, like, not in terms of spending. It's just like a panic constantly about money. It's like, I need to be earning this money. I need to be earning. I'm working on that. And it's like I've come to London. I'm only earning 22 grand a year working on a bar, and it's not good enough. And I have this big block, and it's just like, no, like, actually, I work 40 hours a week. How many hours are in a week? No. On my day off, I'm going to do 6 hours of radio podcasting. I'm going to just set myself, I'm going to turn my phone is the biggest one. Just turn your phone off. Just turn your phone off. 3 hours, I'm just going to sit there and hunt new tunes.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm going to do an hour of just emailing my press pack out.
That's cool as fuck, bro.
Just level it out. And
Yeah.
it's like, and do you know what? Like, you think, oh, do you know what? There's probably better things I've got to do today than sit there and email promoters for an hour and not get You're not going to get the gig unless you do it.
Yeah.
So just do it. Like, we've all been there. Like, again, like you with this podcast, my podcast, you probably get to the point where you think, I can't really be asked to do this anymore. You know, like, what's it actually getting me? Is it making me any money? Do I need to get sponsors? Like, everybody, you can go on TikTok now and do a stupid dance and become a millionaire overnight. And I've been doing this for night. You can drive yourself to do that. Like, mate, like, there's plenty of time to do it. Just turn your phone off for a few hours and literally write a plan. It's not difficult. And you'll be amazed at what you can do in like 4 hours.
See, I know I'm going to be editing this later. Look into my eyes, Kels. Interesting. Just cycling back around the emotional attachment you got to the money.
Yeah.
Is that self-diagnosed as in like, okay, that's an issue?
Yeah. It's just like, I basically, you know, it's kind of like from university and living in my overdrafts and then through previous relationships and things like that, where I've been like, I need to be able to, I never want to get back in that point where, you know, I'm living, you know, I'm treating a -1,000 in my account as like, I've got £1,000, I need to get out of that. And then as I got older and finished university and dug myself out of that hole, it really did negatively install this thing in my head. And it's something that I've only sort of realised through talks with my friends, and I've identified with myself and current partner and stuff that actually it's not good, and you know, I should be pretty happy with, you know, what I have. So stop busting my balls trying to do 2 or 3 jobs and work freelance and do that and just work the normal job and find the time to get that DJ gig, or you know, jump on the tube and go to a rooftop bar and say, like, can speak to your manager, if you've got any DJ gigs. Like it's just balance. So yeah. I don't mind talking about that.
I think there's some reality stuff. Yeah, there was a time when I was like a couple of grand in my overdraft, thinking that was my money. That ain't your money.
No, it's not.
And the reward is coming out of that situation. I think what we forget is life is like currency, it has ebbs and flows. And when I think about, you can think about the money you made ages ago, or you can think about the money you don't have last month. It's all one and the same, isn't it? And you just got to approach things on a daily that helps you get to the journey, through the journey and to a destination. You know, each kind of flag point, you just got to make sure that, am I there? I'm in one piece. I'm okay. Yeah, I've got cash in the bank. Okay, cool. That's kind of like the new cottage industry business model, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, just, you know, making sure that you're stable is pretty much, it's all to do with prioritizing. And it's like, you know, like, I love doing my radio shows and I love doing gigs and I love trying to find gigs and I love trying to make music and trying to fit everything in.